The hall was full of candlelight and whispers when Elena Voss walked in, wearing the white dress she had sewn herself. She had no mother to help her prepare, no father to walk her forward, only a borrowed mirror and a heart full of hope. Tonight was supposed to be the night she became Luna. Tonight was supposed to be the night Damien Cross, Alpha King of the Cross Pack, made her his mate before the eyes of every wolf who mattered. She had loved him since she was 19, back when she was just a nameless Omega girl who cleaned floors in the pack house, and no one bothered to learn her name. Damien had been the one who noticed her. He had been the one who told her that titles did not decide worth, that a person's blood did not decide their value. She believed him. She built her whole life around those words. So when he stood at the front of the hall, dressed in black and gold, and looked at her with cold, distant eyes, she thought perhaps he was nervous. She smiled at him. He did not smile back. "Elena," he said, his voice carrying through the silent hall, "I cannot go through with this." The room did not gasp. It simply went still, the way a forest goes still before a storm. "I have chosen another Luna," Damien continued. "Serafina of the Hail Pack will stand beside me. Our union will secure peace between our territories. It is what is best for this pack." Elena's ears rang. She searched his face for some sign that this was a cruel joke, some flicker of the boy who once told her she was enough just as she was. She found nothing, only a king making a decision, the way kings do, without looking back. Serafina stepped out from behind the crowd, dressed in deep red, her chin lifted with the confidence of someone who had never once been told no. She did not look at Elena with pity. She looked at her, the way one looks at something already forgotten. "I am sorry it has to be this way," Damien said, though his voice held no sorrow at all. "You will be given a home in the outer village. You will want for nothing." Elena did not cry, not there, not in front of hundreds of eyes that had once respected her and now only waited to see what she would do. She simply removed the silver pendant Damien had given her 3 years ago, the one shaped like a small crescent moon, and placed it gently on the floor between them. "I do not want a home built on your guilt," she said quietly. "I do not want anything from you at all." Then she turned and walked out of the hall, past whispers and pointed stairs, past a life she had spent years building. She did not stop walking until the pack house was far behind her, and the cold night air had dried whatever tears had finally begun to fall. She walked for 3 days. She did not know where she was going. She only knew she could not stay in a place where every face reminded her of what she had lost. The forests grew thicker and wilder the further she went, until the trees themselves seemed to whisper warnings in a language she almost understood. She had crossed, without meaning to, into the northern territories, a stretch of land so old and untouched that even the boldest wolves from Damien's pack refused to enter it. Stories said the land remembered things better left forgotten. Elena, at that point, had nothing left to lose. On the 4th night, exhausted and weak from hunger, she came upon a circle of ancient stones standing tall in a quiet clearing. Moonlight poured over them like silver water. She did not know why, but something about the stones called to her, the way a familiar voice calls a name across a crowded room. She stepped into the circle and collapsed at its center, too tired to fight sleep any longer. She did not know that the moment her knees touched that ground, the stones around her began to glow. When Elena opened her eyes, an old woman was kneeling beside her, studying her face with an expression somewhere between wonder and disbelief. The woman's hair was silver white, her eyes a startling shade of violet that seemed too bright for her weathered face. "You are awake," the woman said. "Good. I was starting to think I imagined you." Elena tried to sit up, her body aching from days of walking. "Where am I?" "The circle of first blood," the woman answered. "A place forgotten by everyone, except those who still remember what it means." She studied Elena a moment longer. "Tell me, child, do you know your parents?" Elena shook her head. "They died when I was young. I was raised by the pack, passed from house to house. No one ever spoke of them." The old woman nodded slowly, as though this confirmed something she had long suspected. "My name is Odalise. I am the last elder of a line thought to be extinct for over 200 years. And you, dear girl, are the reason I have been waiting in this forest for the better part of a decade." Elena frowned. I do not understand. Odalise reached for a small satchel at her side and pulled out an old, cracked pendant, one shaped almost identically to the crescent moon Elena had left behind on the floor of Damien's hall. Every ruling wolf bloodline in this world, every alpha throne, every crown passed down through the centuries, all of it traces back to one family, the first kings. It was said that when their final heir vanished, the bloodline died with her. But bloodlines do not simply vanish, child. Sometimes they hide. You think I am. I do not think, Odalise said gently. I know. The stones do not glow for just anyone. They glow for blood they recognize. Your parents hid you well, and for good reason. There are those who would have taken your life the moment they learned who you truly were, simply to keep the old bloodline from ever rising again. Elena laughed, though there was no humor in it. I was an Omega with no pack and no name. I scrubbed floors. I was rejected in front of an entire hall 2 nights ago because I was not important enough to matter. And yet, Odalise said, the very throne that rejected you sits on the memory of your ancestors. Damien Cross rules only because centuries ago, your bloodline allowed his family the right to lead. Every alpha who has ever worn a crown has worn it because the first kings permitted it. That permission can be given. It can also be taken away. Elena sat in silence for a long time, staring at the pendant in Odalise's weathered hands. Somewhere deep inside her, something that had been asleep her whole life began, slowly, to stir. The days that followed were unlike anything Elena had known. Odalise taught her of the old ways, the customs and history long buried beneath modern pack politics. She learned that the power within her was not loud or violent, but steady, like the quiet strength of a mountain that does not need to prove it is unmovable. When she spoke, even in a whisper, those nearby found themselves listening. When she walked, animals of the forest paused to watch her pass, sensing something ancient in her presence. Word does not stay quiet for long in the wolf world. Whispers began to travel from pack to pack. A woman had awakened the circle of first blood. A woman carried power older than any living alpha. Some packs sent scouts to confirm the rumors. Others sent nothing, too afraid of what it might mean if the stories were true. Damien heard the rumors nearly a month after Elena had vanished from his hall. At first, he dismissed them as nonsense, stories meant to frighten children. But then came word from a trusted advisor that the woman at the center of the rumors matched Elena's description exactly. Pale hair, quiet strength, a scar above her left eyebrow from a childhood accident. Details no stranger could have guessed. Damien said nothing to Serafina about it. He told himself it did not matter, that Elena was simply gone, a closed chapter in the story of his rule. But at night, when the pack house grew silent, he found himself standing at the window that faced north, wondering. His alliance with Serafina's pack had, in the weeks since the ceremony, begun to show cracks he had not expected. Serafina was proud and capable, but she ruled with a coldness that unsettled even loyal wolves who had once respected Damien's leadership. Whispers grew that his choice had not strengthened the pack, but weakened it. And now, with rumors of the first blood rising in the north, those whispers grew louder still. An alpha from a distant territory arrived at Damien's hall 3 weeks later, requesting an audience. He did not come with gifts or pledges of loyalty. He came with a question. Is it true, the visiting alpha asked, that the throne you sit on was once permitted by the first kings, and is it true that their last heir now walks free in the northern territories? Damien's silence answered more than any words could have. Then you should know, the alpha continued, that many of us are reconsidering where our loyalty belongs. A crown given by an old bloodline can be given elsewhere, should that bloodline choose. That night, for the first time since the ceremony, Damien allowed himself to remember Elena as she truly was, not as an obstacle to political peace, but as the woman who had once made him laugh so hard he forgot he was supposed to be a king. He remembered her kindness, her patience, the quiet dignity she carried, even when the world gave her every reason not to. He had told himself he was choosing what was best for his people. Now he understood, perhaps too late, that he had simply been afraid of what it might cost him to choose love over strategy. Elena returned to the cross-pack territory on a cold morning in early winter, 3 months after she had left it in tears. She did not arrive quietly. Odalise walked beside her, and behind them came a small group of wolves from the northern packs who had come to see the truth with their own eyes. She did not wear white this time. She wore deep gray, simple and unadorned, with the crescent pendant resting once again at her throat, though now it seemed to catch the light differently, as though it too understood what she had become. The pack gathered in the same hall where she had once been rejected. This time, no one whispered, no one dared. Damien stood at the front, and for the first time in his life as Alpha King, he did not know what to say. Seraphina stood beside him, her composure faltering as she watched pack members, wolves who had sworn loyalty to her only months before, lower their eyes not to her, but to Elena. "I did not come for revenge," Elena said, her voice calm and clear, carrying easily to every corner of the silent hall. "I did not come to take anything by force. I came because it is time the truth was known. My parents hid me to protect me, but hiding is no longer necessary. I know who I am now. I know what I carry." Damien stepped forward, his voice quieter than she had ever heard it. "Elena, I was wrong. I let fear of politics decide something that should have been decided by my heart. I know I do not deserve it, but I am asking for the chance to make things right." Elena studied him for a long moment. She searched, once more, for the boy who had told a nameless Omega girl that her worth was not decided by her blood. She found traces of him still, buried beneath years of pressure and duty, but she also understood something Odalise had taught her in the quiet nights beneath the northern stars. Forgiveness and restoration were not always the same thing. "I forgive you, Damien," she said finally. "But forgiveness does not mean I will stand beside a throne that only remembered my worth once it learned my bloodline. I do not need your crown to know who I am." She turned to the gathered wolves, packs old and new, watching with breathless attention. "I do not ask any of you to abandon your alphas or your homes. I ask only that the old ways be remembered, that no bloodline be hidden out of fear again, and that no one, Omega or heir, ever be told their worth depends on what they can offer someone else." With Odalise at her side, Elena did not take Damien's throne. She did not need to. Instead, she established her own place among the northern packs, not as a ruler who commanded through fear, but as a guide who reminded the wolf world of where its oldest laws had come from. Packs sent envoys to learn from her, elders who had long forgotten the old customs found in her, a living reminder of what had once bound them all together. Damien's pack endured, though quietly changed. His alliance with Seraphina's family cooled within the year, the political strength he had hoped to gain dissolving once it became clear that true loyalty could not be built on ambition alone. As for Elena, she often stood at the edge of the northern forest at dusk, the same stones of the ancient circle glowing softly behind her, and thought of the girl who once believed she was nobody. That girl was gone now, not erased, but transformed, carrying forward not just a bloodline centuries old, but a strength that had always been hers, long before anyone thought to call her a queen. She had lost a crown that was never truly hers to keep. She had found, instead, the one thing no one could ever take away again, the certainty of who she was.